So I guess we have everyone here. Let's get started. So maybe we can have start with the quick intros first. So let's have OPSec first. So Chris from OPSec and Chris and Steven from OPSec are here. So maybe Chris, you can take up the stage and give a quick intro of what OPSec is and what you guys are building.
Yeah, absolutely. So, yeah, thanks for the invite. I'm Chris Williams, the CBDO of OpSec. I've been with the project now since, crikey, late Feb, although it does seem like I've been here for about 20 years. Anyone that knows OpSec already will know we're an extremely hard-working team and it never ends. So, what is OpSec? So, OpSec ecosystem essentially aims to sort of redefine the landscape of decentralized computing and built on principles of security, privacy, and innovation. We basically offer a comprehensive suite of different products designed to kind of empower organizations or individuals in their endeavors. And if you kind of think of a decentralized version of maybe AWS, where we like to think of ourselves as or a vision to become the AWS of Web3. And basically, our aim is to kind of change the way projects are deployed. And all of our offering is basically set to be very easily deployed. So easy that, for example, one of our offerings is called Cloudverse. My grandmother would essentially be able to be running a node, and our kind of ethos is everything is 1 or 2 clicks, meaning anyone can start earning passive income with extreme ease. And I don't want to spoil all of the kind of OpSec thunder. It might be worth passing over to Steve, who can touch upon some of the other offerings within our ecosystem.
Oh yeah, absolutely. Thank you very much. So I guess the big news on our side is actually, and it's very closely knitted in with the topic of the discussion today. Is yesterday we launched a beta version of OneSec, which is a decentralized web hosting software. So maybe we're really excited about this, and these are sort of the incremental steps towards a more sort of decentralized Web3, and possibly we'll touch more on that throughout the discussion today. But yeah, a pleasure to join, and thank you for inviting.
Great to hear. So we have Port3 here with us as well. So Port3, how about you give a quick introduction to our audience about what you guys are up to and what you guys are building?
Yeah, sure. Hello, everyone. I am Jack, data scientist and business developer at Port3 Network. And yeah, we've been in the space for quite some time already, for like more than 3 years. And we started off as something like bot verification, task verification as a and our first tool was a Quest task platform, which is SoftQuest, something like Z-Layer or Galaxy. And we started building and building and building. But our vision was to build AI data layer, or like at that time, the AI wasn't that like as a narrative at that time. Was we were just building a data layer. But now, as everyone is into AI, we put to put that data that we've collected into AI and make more valuable. So like right now is our vision is Port3 Network. We're building a unified artificial intelligence operating system. So basically what it does, the core architecture of Port3 Network is machine learning specialized compute layer, decentralized calculation protocol with low latency and high throughput architecture built on agent layer. And relying on a core compute layer Port3 Network, we're going to launch our data layer, AI data layer, to power up all of those applications who would like to build on the top of us, or other projects who would like to use our data later on. So for these 3 years, we have got more than like 5 million users, more than 400 mobile devices, and so on and so forth. And we've got a lot of data, like terabytes of data, and we've got like on-chain and off-chain data. And with off-chain data, I mean like Twitter, Telegram, and Discord, which is quite unique compared to other Web3 projects who are more focusing on on-chain data, right? So we are focusing on that, and among other things, we've built our TP, which is like basically compute power through mobile devices. It's in a testing phase right now, so you can go and check it out. And you basically run a node on your mobile device, and you mine port3 token. And other thing is our OpenBQL, which is AI-powered layer for efficient cross-chain interactions. So as we've integrated many different chains, and we expanded to Solana projects with OpenBQL can gain ability to create custom on-chain workflows with that. Sorry, I know I'm a bit too long. And also we launched recently yesterday. It was our new Nebula E, which is Launchpad. If you're interested in that, please go further, go to our Twitter and check it out, guys. Thank you so much.
Interesting. Great to hear that. We have our dear friend Tomer as well from Kima Network. So, hey Tomer, what is up? How is it going with you as well as with Kima Network?
Hey guys, so thanks for having me. Always a pleasure being here. Hope everybody is well. Seems like we have an interesting panel today. Briefly about Kima. Kima is an interoperability communication protocol. We're basically a blockchain network, but with no users, no smart contracts, no liquidity. And it's a blockchain that manages assets on all other blockchains, serving as a communication gateway to every decentralized app on any blockchain, with any DApp on any blockchain. And not only that, but even with the centralized world, we are connecting Web 2 and Web 3 seamlessly through our communication layer. And we're the only blockchain on Earth that has a completely decentralized way to do interoperability between the decentralized and the centralized. Thanks to our SDK and API. And that's it in a nutshell. We are unifying and uniting all of Web3 and all of the Web2, all of the financial ecosystems without any smart contracts, in a completely agnostic way to technology now and in the future, and to the digital assets that you would like to transfer. That's us.
Great to know about that. So, yeah, let's delve deep into the topic of discussion that we are doing today. So, we will be pondering upon scalability solutions for AI in decentralized systems. So, like how could decentralized AIs or maybe decentralized systems could be leveraged with the scalability that decentralization offers in comparison to traditional AI. So the very first thing is the very first question arises around is how does decentralization address the scalability limitations of traditional AI? And are the very first question would be, are these traditional AIs not scalable enough? Or what are the factors that are making them not so much scalable that we are looking to move towards decentralization? So that's the very first touch point we will be looking to hit and touch. So if any one of you have your opinions or thoughts around it, you guys can raise your hand maybe, or maybe we can start with, how about Steven, you start it first and then we will take it ahead.
Yes, thank you. Very happy to. So I think when we consider sort of centralized systems, there was a newspaper article I found very interesting a few weeks ago, and it said Microsoft were running low on GPU, and it seems like, you know, with a huge increased demand of compute power for AI and other sort of reasons. You know, there is a case where the demand just overwhelms the supply. So it doesn't matter how much actual hardware that that you hold, it will be stretched to its limits at some point. So I think just even fundamentally, decentralized access to GPUs will stop this sort of almost like a bottleneck, and it sort of frees up additional supply, depending on the system. In terms of the data itself, again, centralized structures, they have siloed data, which in itself is, you have huge companies, AWS, Google. But I think people's concerns are that who decides on the quality of the data, where have they sourced the data from, what applications are they using with this data. So I think that's another limitation, and decentralization sort of solves all those problems. I think there's an issue with trust. What are the applications of the data? It tends to be sort of marketing, military, that sort of thing. So decentralization, yeah, you spread data and compute power across the whole network. GPU is difficult to source and very expensive, and centralized providers generally, correct me if I'm wrong, but sometimes they might pass these costs on to the customer. So it sort of prices a lot of people out of the market, and it sort of affects the demand for these services and accessibility by the average person. So I think just tons of benefits to decentralizing. Yeah, thank you very much.
Great to hear. So, Toma, would you have like something in continuation to it, or what are your thoughts around that?
To be honest, not my main field of expertise. I can discuss it, but I think there are probably other people in the audience, over here that will be better fit to answer that specific one. I would let them. I'm having fun listening to others in that matter and learn. Then we'll let the other colleagues here respond about it.
Great to hear. So, Jack, do you have something to add here?
Yeah, sure. So let's start with talking about the centralized AI system and how it's working right now, right? Everything basically is relying to a single node, right? Or like a cloud infrastructure to handle all the computation, data processing, storaging, and so on and so forth, right? By destroying this one node, like the whole in the whole any kind of centralized ecosystem, right? You destroy basically everything, accessibility, and all of this, the data and power that goes would be destroyed when with decentralized AI or like wherever it is still going on. So like basically with the question is decentralized, how the decentralization addresses the scalability problem, right, with traditional AI. So like there's a lot of problems and limitations. So like the first one is processing power, of course, like GPUs and so forth, and so on and so forth, data storage, and a lot of like decision-making capabilities across networks, right? When for a couple months ago, NVIDIA launched or made the conference, and they announced the new Blackwell chips, right? Where those, like most of those Blackwell chips go, so with a lot of massive power, computational power, and so on and so forth, right? It went to all like the centralizations platforms such as OpenAI, Meta, maybe Apple, and so on and so forth. Like all of those biggest companies with a lot of money get the best things, and this is like one of the part of the centralization. As a users, we barely can access to those power capabilities, or probably like we can't access it. And this is the scalability limitations for all of us, including Web3. Yeah, thank you.
Interesting. Great to hear that. So, basically, then, what are those things that we can utilize to maybe achieve the scalability right, to achieve the scalable AI in this decentralized systems. There would be certain techniques, right? There would be certain stuff to make it more robust and to make it more scalable. So what are they, if I ask? And also, on a quick note, if someone like from the community have some questions around, we will be having a dedicated Q&A section after the questions are over, with any of the folks who are present here. So either you guys can drop your questions in the chat of this Twitter space, or else you guys can wait, and then when we'll be having the Q&A, you guys could raise your hand, and we'll take those questions up as well. So yeah, I'll repeat the question again. So what are the some of the key techniques that are used to achieve scalable AI in these decentralized systems? So maybe Jack, how about you take this first now?
Yeah, sure. So there's a few things and techniques that comes into my mind about achieving scalability of AI in decentralized systems. So like the few things that, like the first thing that we are going to utilize, obviously, it's something that calls is federated learning, right? So as federated learning is a decentralized machine learning approach where basically each node or like each phone trains a local model using its own data and its own computation power to train those AI models and send the weights to the cloud where the model is sitting, right? This is a very interesting approach to decentralize training of AI model. Another approach is obviously like edge computing or something like this, or parallel processing. If you are very like deep into the tech and the software development, I think you should understand you should understand this and what I mean by that. Yeah, thank you.
Great to hear that. So when we say that, okay, so we guys are saying that, okay, we guys are doing uh, the AI training in a decentralized fashion. So what actually is decentralized, if I ask? Is it the compute? Is it like are we having some proofs generated on chain, or what is actually on chain when I say that I'm like getting AI trained in a decentralized fashion? So, yeah.
Is it a question to me or
To
to
everyone,
anyone?
yeah, to everyone, like, yeah.
So, well, if it's okay to answer, in the case of OpSec, yeah, I mean, there's two sides, isn't there, to AI training. First, you need, or maybe more than two, but you need to power them with compute power. It takes an incredible amount of processing speed. There's the AI algorithm and model itself, but then the third aspect maybe is the data that you're sourcing. So at OpSec, our core principle is decentralization. So, and this is what we've been working on very recently, is with the launch of OneSec, is utilizing the IPFS system. So it's an interplanetary file system, which, if people aren't familiar, it sort of it causes it allocates content addresses based on the content itself rather than the location. So whereas traditional methods, all of the data websites are all hosted in centralized servers, IPFS it's almost like a blockchain in itself. So the content itself has an individual hash. So this very much allows things like federated learning. So AI algorithms can go out. They can assess the data and process it, and then return it back to a sort of centralized cloud where they can sort of consolidate the information. And the benefits of federated learning is that they have access to the data, but they just report back the results of the data processing. So it sort of allows for privacy of of individual data. And this sort of really marries in with IPFS beautifully, in my opinion.
Great to know about that. So, Jackie, do you have something to add there?
Yeah. No, I mean, that's yeah. Nothing to add. There's a lot of things, right? To achieve scalability and AI, there's a lot of things that you have to pay attention to. You need to know a lot of different algorithms that you can utilize to achieve that, right? And I named quite a few, and it just depends on a project's what they want to utilize and how I'd like to utilize. And in our case, we are utilizing mobile devices to do the computational right thing and update EA models somewhere else, not locally. So like mobile phones, they don't have as much power as phones or not phones, but like computers and like powerful GPUs, right? And they cannot train like a bit. Maybe right now they cannot train big AI models like LLMs or other things locally on mobile devices because, yeah, most of the phones, they don't have this much of capabilities. But with that, you can train a part of the models on your local like data that you would like to put in and send just the weights and update the weights. And like later on, you can with those weight update the main models. And this is a very good way to decentralization of AI models as of companies in general, like even big ones, decentralized company and other kind of companies. Everyone is looking for data right now, right? And decentralized data and data that is brought by users that they are willing to give by themselves, not that they're putting out of their on internet, and big centralized company are just scraping the data without even asking users or don't even care users. This is quite a big thing that people should realize and understand and utilize. So basically these big companies, they are utilizing our data that we put willingly to internet, and they're utilizing it for their own good without even asking us if we want that or we don't want that. And obviously it has a lot of potential, obviously it has a lot of benefits for all of us, right? But have we been asked for? No, we haven't. And I mean, probably yes. If we go into all of those terms and conditions on each app that we are signing up, and probably there is something about it, right? But like, yeah, 100%. I never read those. But this is with DP or like decentralized infrastructure in Web3 in general. We can, as a users, we can take back our rights to use our own data for the good of us, not for the good of those big centralized communities or big centralized companies that are out there. I just not gonna go for the names. I'm so tired. This is a controversial theories and stuff. Yeah.
No, that's very well explained. Yeah, Chris.
I was just going to add a couple of things because I made a couple of notes, and whilst the other guys were speaking, and I kind of thought something we haven't really touched upon is obviously blockchain technology, which is something we're all involved in. So, by kind of integrating on the blockchain, you're ensuring data integrity and transparency, and obviously smart contracts can help automate and secure transactions within the network, which again sort of helps facilitate the scalability side of things. And then peer-to-peer networks, you've got a direct exchange between nodes, and that helps facilitate the efficiency of data distribution and processing, again without like a central authority reliance, which is obviously something that all of us don't necessarily believe in. Hence, we're talking about decentralization. And the final thing that I thought was kind of edge computing. So processing data on the net works edge much closer to the source, kind of reduces the load on central servers and kind of minimizes any latency, making the system far more scalable and responsive. And that was kind of my final thought.
No, very well explained and very well said. Just a quick follow-up question to what Jack said about taking compute from mobile devices, like the smaller mobile devices that are there. There are a couple of other projects as well, which includes gaming as well, which are over the same aspect of having compute from those smaller devices and those smaller GPUs, and then leveraging, like people could leverage that their deep in grid of for AI training. So would like to ask from Potri and Jack about more about it in terms of how is it possible, like what are the stuff that and what's the difference between training your AI model over a consumer grade GPU of say GTX 1650 or maybe RTX 4090 or even a A10G. So they and like these are like two of them are consumer grade. A10Gs, A100s and H100s are industrial grade. And then there comes these smaller GPUs of mobile phones, etc. So what's the difference in AI training? Is there any latency or delay that is been seen by users, or is it better, or how is it better? So would love to touch point around that as well here. So because in order to make scalable solutions, right, you need to make sure that you have multiple nodes, or the nodes which would be there are as many as possible. So if mobile phones are there, if we are acquiring the mobile phones as our compute source, then it would make more sense to make a scalable deep in grid. So what are your thoughts around that, Jack, over that? Or are we like moving towards, like would love to know more about it.
Yeah, thank you for the question. Yeah, sure. So the thing is, with comparing, if we compare it to like mobile devices, right, to H100, right, like or like A100, right, or like other GPUs that you mentioned, so on and so forth, right. So like the thing is with big GPUs, like the thing, it GPUs, they have the amount of data that they can process with a specific time, right? If we're taking like massive GPUs, right, it's going to be so easy to train any models and do any kind of computational algorithmic networks. Like when I was studying in my first year in uni, I had like really old laptop and I was doing my ML algorithms and computation and like doing some models and see like how they're going to predict. And sometimes it would take me like night to wait till it's gonna do all of the computation and predictions. All right, like, and that time I had a really bad laptop, and later this year I updated to a new one, and now everything's fine. What taking me like hours to train right now, it takes me like minutes or like maybe hour, yeah, like a few minutes under the hour. So the thing is with like then bigger GPU, then more data it can process and the faster it can process, then better it is. For like mobile devices, they are not as fast comparing to proper GPU chips, right? But still, they still can process power process do the all of the data processing, stabilize and normalize and so on and so forth, right? But it's just going to do it slower. But still, it doesn't mean that we cannot utilize it. And as we live in, we work in decentralized space and Web3 space, everything goes to decentralization. And this is one way. Yeah, it is slower, but still, people can utilize it, use it, earn money, and benefit from it. That would be my answer.
Interesting. Great to know about that. So, Tomer, Stephen, and Chris, do you have anything to add there? Maybe how we can make it more scalable or stuff like around there?
Yes, thank you. So I've had quite a few discussions with protocols that deal with edge nodes, and it's some amazing stuff that they're achieving. And I think in terms of AI, AI sort of is fueled by the data that it processes. So I think these edge nodes they really have the opportunity to access real time data. The protocols I was talking with, they were using it for tracking weather conditions. These are all things that the data can be produced from the Internet of Things sensors on your smartphones, cameras, all of the various different sensors that you have in a smartphone. So there's definite real world applications for these, and I think as a sort of undeniable real world data, I think they can it can be very important. I think for yeah for evaluating the ecosystem health perhaps of the world, and other sort of micro ecosystems.
Interesting. Great to know. So yeah, uh, let's move on to some of the challenges which these scaling systems might be failing. So what other core challenges do you see in like in these systems, and while we will be scaling these things off in a decentralized fashion, so what are the core challenges which any of the protocols are currently facing, or what do you think would be the core challenges to it? So maybe like OpSec can answer it even better because they are dealing with a lot of protocols which are there in the GPU side of things as well as in the AI side of things. So maybe Stephen, if you want to take it ahead, or maybe Chris, if you want to take it ahead.
Yeah, I don't mind touching upon this. So, I mean, I think the big issue at the moment is centralized systems often struggle with processing and transferring large volumes of data quickly, leading to delays and inefficiencies, causing sort of data bottlenecks. They also present a sort of single point of failure and are more susceptible to failures or attacks from their main servers, potentially disrupting the whole operation. And then you've got resource constraints. So central servers have limited resources, and it makes it a real challenge to kind of scale up operations without significant infrastructure investment. And something that OpSec has been working extremely hard to kind of achieve at the moment is onboarding partners. So we're not reliant on any single approach, should we say? And yeah, I guess the only thing other than that may be latency issues. So centralized AI systems can have high latency due to the distance between the data source and the central processing unit. So it affects real-time processing capabilities, and that kind of goes back to the whole edge compute side of things. So obviously, in a decentralized world, we would be utilizing the nodes closest to the requirement and making data distribution and processing much more efficient and more responsive.
Interesting. Jake, do you have something to add in here?
Yeah, I second all of that. I think really well said. I think, yeah, there's always going to be difficulty sort of with resource allocation and optimizing sort of GPU. If it can't be profitable and streamlined, then it's going to price a lot of people away from using it. So I think that's a big consideration. The other thing is I feel like just the communication between servers and between nodes is really important. So I think protocols like Kima sound like that they're doing really a really important function within this whole thing. You need to reliable data. It needs to synchronize properly, and there needs to be a good quality in communicating data.
Interesting. Great to hear that. So yeah, so like would love to know more about the industries or maybe the applications which are like more likely to use like more likely to benefit from these solutions. Like it would be a universal thing if we are able to decentralize it, but there would be certain industries and applications, right, where it could be leveraged even more. So like can you explain around maybe with some of the examples? Maybe we can start with maybe uh Toma as well. Like, yeah, if you guys are building something in AI in with Kima network Tomer, or else then we can have Jake, and then we can have OPSec their thoughts over it.
Well, we are indeed building. We have, of course, like everyone else, basically, have an AI model called Lima. It's our model that manages the liquidity across all of our liquidity pools on all chains. It basically learns the demands and all of the source and target chains, and knows how to smartly incentivize liquidity providers to move their liquidity from one point to another, or just to do it for them in order to generate maximum yield. Similar to the way that Uber works and incentivizes more drivers to get to a certain point that has more demand for taxis at the moment, from wherever they are at the time, in order to answer the demand. So yeah, this is driven by AI. It's a system called Lima that we've developed, and works, of course, cross-chain, across all of our networks, driven by our Kima network.
Interesting. So yeah, would love to have your thoughts around maybe Jack. You can take this ahead of some of the examples where Port3's ecosystem could be leveraged to have that happen, maybe in the DeFi space or maybe in any other space. Or would love to know more about that.
Yeah, sure. If we're talking about the industries or application that's going to benefit from like AI in general, right? I think it's like every basically every industry or application in general that can be benefited from AI. As like if you go to into finance, yeah, we have already like decentralized finance, blockchain, right? We're here for not for long. I mean, we are here not long, that long yet, but here we are, and we're going to improve it with anything we can, right? This is a finance and financial ecosystem compared to decentralized ecosystem. There's a massive difference, and a lot of opportunities as we're here today now and discussing it, right? And we can go to gaming industry, right? Like right now, a lot of games and also games in a decentralized ecosystem. They're utilizing AI in different kind of things, like from doing like personalized recommendations based off individual user preferences or behavior, to like creating NFTs with AI, with like Midjourney or like Stability or even like OpenAI and so on and so forth, right? This yeah, that's it. That would be my answer.
Great to hear that. So, Chris and Steven, do you guys have any thoughts around it?
Yeah, so I think in OpSec's case, I mean, the question was what industries are likely to benefit, and I I think AI is amazing, but I'm not sure that all of the advancements of AI will benefit society. So things like generative AI, I mean, it's amazing, some of it, and absolutely astonishing tool, but it will have negative impacts on the future too, no doubt. But the way that OPSEC sort of views and utilizes AI is very much more about automation It's like optimizing every single little process within the system to make sure that we can keep the costs low, match the right computer to the right user, and the right function. So I think in this regard, automation is like, just basically giving you access to a professional who does everything perfectly. And I think if you can use AI as a middleman, especially for things like handling your private data, it means that you don't have to rely on trusting another human. So things like legal industries, the medical fields, things like this. I think automation can definitely benefit all of these. Thank you.
Great to hear. Great to hear. So yeah, we are about towards the end of the thing. We have the very last question around. So as we all know that in AI, privacy and security is one of the important factor, right? Because you are exposing your private data, right? And when we are saying that we are having like multiple nodes from multiple users around the world, then you are putting that data over to for on over their compute to train their AMLs around. So basically, how do the platforms ensure that these solutions uh, are secure enough and the sensitive data of the users is private? So maybe Port3, you could take this question ahead because you guys are already building that off, and I think you would be the right person to address it to get it started, and then others can join in the conversation. Also, I see Crypto Rand as well in the listeners panel. If in case you want to hop on to the panel, just send me a request and we'll pull you up. We have Crypto MIT as well. If in case you are also interested to speak around, hit us up and we will pull you up.
Yeah, thank you for the question. Privacy, right? This is a big concern. Like for me, I like to keep my things private, and I don't like when other things or like other people or other company are utilizing my private data or sensitive data for their own good, right? So, for example, with us. With our VPN, we're utilizing federated learning, but also utilizing fully homomorphic encryption that keeps the data not exposed to whenever they're training or like putting the data in, we don't see what kind of data they put in. It's already encrypted. Like what we see the encryption. We don't see the data itself. So with this, is very important that users can trust us. They can trust that we are not going to sell our data to other companies, which is honestly, it's a big market in Web3 or in Web2 and in Web3 as well. And in Web2, companies are utilizing our data to benefit from us all the time, everywhere, anyhow. And sometimes you might not even see. And this is like just personally for me, I don't like it. I mean, I use it, I benefit from it, from all of those LLMs that have been trained and so on and so forth. And yes, I do utilize it, I do benefit from it, but I don't like it, And if they would like to collect the data, I would like them to properly ask me, would you like to share this data that we want or not? If I would say no, yeah, no problem. If I would like to say yes, yeah, I can earn something from it. But in this world, we only pay for this. I mean, at least in Web2 world for now, we pay for it to access it and to power them up to even better things, right? But we are paying for it, not they are.
Interesting. So, yeah, Steven and Chris, do you have something to add in here?
Yeah, I mean, I'm happy to talk about it. Obviously, OpSec. OpSec is our name. We take obviously privacy and sensitive data very seriously. So obviously we've already touched on data encryption, but OpSec specifically employs data encryption both at rest and in transit to ensure that even if the data would be potentially intercepted, it remains unreadable without the correct decryption key. How else do we do that? Something called federated learning, and we keep data localized on individual devices and only share model updates. And basically, federated learning minimizes the exposure to any raw data, which again enhances privacy. And then there's blockchain technology. Obviously, immutable and transparent ledgers in our ecosystem help ensure data integrity and make any unauthorized changes easily detectable. And I think that's possibly it, unless you've got anything to add, Steve.
Yeah, I think you said it all, really. Yeah, it's just maybe on the security side, making systems more robust. So, yeah, they're less vulnerable to attacks and hacks. People losing data or having data breaches, against their will. I think using AI to automate absolutely as much as possible means that there's no prying eyes into your personal information. But yeah, well said, Chris. Thank you. Yeah, brilliant.
There is one more thing, actually. Thank you, Steve, that I didn't mention. Just within our own ecosystem, we've got really robust access control, and that's multi-factor authentication. So in our ecosystem, we can protect against unauthorized access to the system and any sensitive data. So yeah, that adds another level of security within our ecosystem specifically.
Oh, we could probably also mention we have a piece of hardware in development which is an onion router, which for every piece of data that passes through a node, it has a layer is decrypted as it passes, so it sort of completely masks the source and the destination of the data. So that's something that we're looking forward to. We still start to see prototypes appearing over the next few months, but definitely one to watch. It's just another layer of security and an end-to-end encryption, and yeah, that's something we're very excited for and very important to OpSec.
Great to hear. Great to hear. So, yeah, let's take some community questions around. Um, so basically, if any of the community have some questions around, they can raise their hand and we'll pull them up for discussions. So we are about like towards the end of the Twitter space. It was pleasure to host you all, to host Port3 as well as OpSec and Kima network as well here. So if there are any questions from the community, you guys can raise your hand and we'll pull you all up. Okay, I think there are no questions. There are a couple of questions in the chat which are around incentivization mechanisms for cluster protocols. So maybe I can take this ahead here. So I would also like to give a brief of what we guys are doing here. So to make a clear testimony around here. So we at Cluster are building an infrastructure for deepins and AI. So anyone who is looking to build anything in AI can hop onto our infrastructure and can build it with our modular infrastructure. So basically, if you want to build your own customized AI agent, or maybe if some SaaS owner is looking around to build some SaaS solution, or you can say that if any business owner is looking to automate any of their business needs, and the use cases goes on and on and on, all that could be done in few clicks without technical dependency over cluster. So for the incentive mechanisms, we have a couple of them deployed. The major one of them is deploy to earn, which is where you would be rewarded for deploying your compute on our network, regardless of if that compute is being utilized or not onto our network. That's the very first incentive mechanism that we have in place. Then the second mechanism we have in place is for data. For data, we will be rewarding you guys for hosting your data and then putting it forward on our big data marketplace, and that could be utilized by community, by our vibrant community of AI developers, enthusiasts, and researchers to explore, to utilize that data of to train their models. And then the third thing is AI models, where AI researchers can upload their high quality AI models on top of our platform, and then they could be leveraged in terms of incentive based on how much usage of their AI models is done. So I hope I'm able to answer your question very well, Amir. Rest, if you guys have any other questions around, then feel free to ask them off, maybe off chat, on chat, or maybe you can hit me a DM at Deep in Daddy or maybe at Cluster Protocols official account. Would be more than happy to answer them, all of them. So yeah, with that being said, we have come to the end of this Twitter space, and yeah, it was like I would like to thank Jack from Port3, Tomer from Kima Network, Chris and Steven from OPSec to have to be here to enlighten all of us about the scalability solutions for AI and decentralized systems. If in case you guys like, let's end this on high note with yeah, the last thoughts of you all guys. So maybe Tomer, you can get started with what are your final thoughts around, or what are you thinking right now? Maybe about the markets or anything you would love to share here.
Yeah, well, so definitely, this year, this bull market is much more interesting towards decentralized AI solutions, of course, than the previous one. This industry was basically born in the bear market. The AI hype was basically built up back then, with some of the very successful initial projects, that started creating all kind of models and AI-driven solutions on chain, like ChainGPT and the likes of them. Um, and we see that in this bull run, we have many more adult solutions that are being built in a decentralized manner that are indeed enhancing, the reach and the capabilities of AI. Makes it more accessible to people, in countries that are quite blocked to use these specific tools in one way or another, and also allow the storage of these in a completely decentralized manner and in a way that will be always accessible and free for everyone to use and cannot be basically limited or supervised, which I think is something that's definitely always supports the growth of technology around the world. Not sure if you guys try to log in into ChatGPT today, but you will see that you're encountering many various problems that they have with their storage and models or something today, but basically inaccessible. Then I'm super happy to see that many more solutions like these are arising and doing so much, bringing so much innovation into this beautiful industry. And thank you for having me today. Oh, and by the way, my latest Forbes article actually just went live, which is actually mentioning cluster protocol. And I'm inviting all of you to Google it or just to take a link. Probably Cluster will post it later and take a read, visit it, visit the website, and take a look. Thank you for having me today, guys. Jumping on to my next meeting now. Bye, guys.
Yeah, pleasure hosting you, Tomer and Kima Network. So, what are your last thoughts, Jack? Would love to know from you.
Thank you so much for Cluster Protocol for inviting Port3 Network to this space. Yeah, it was a pleasure to chat with you guys. Pleasure to meet you. And yeah, like my last words here in this space would be just go to Port3 Network Twitter, find what we're doing. We're doing season 2. We launched our launch pad. If you're interested, please participate. Go have a look, participate. Go to OpenBQL, do some transactions. This is a part of our incentive volume season 2. So yeah, go do some activities on Port3 Network and get rewarded. Easy peasy. Thank you so much for having me. Have a good evening, day, morning. uh, whoever you are and wherever you are.
Great, Jack. Great. So, yeah, Stephen, what are your final thoughts and around it?
Oh, hi. Firstly, apologies. I tend to shout at my phone when I'm on these things, so I'm sorry if I sound a bit strange. But it's been a real pleasure speaking with everyone and really interesting discussion. I would just say, OPSEC, it's an incredibly exciting time for us, and everything that we do is just based around the pillars of decentralization. So we really it's at the core of everything we do. Over the next few months, we're adding to the suite of services that we have. We have web hosting on IPFS, which is going to allow the new sensor-proof website. Sorry, the new sensor-proof internet. People can't take our sites down. Our data belongs to us, and we also have one-click node deployment as well, so users can sort of generate some income, all protected, all 100% owned by our communities. Watch this space. Please reach out to us if you have any nodes deployment needs, and excited for the future. Thank you very much.
Great to know about that. So, with that being said, this is YJ from Cluster Protocol signing off. See you in some other space hosted by Cluster Protocol, none other than on X Spaces. Till then, take care. Bye bye. See you.